it work, And the nice thing about making it work is that they say that necessity is the mother of invention, right? Well, I think one of the things that I thought is that really no, necessity is the mother of making us use inventions. And because we had these inventions, we had this web conferencing, we had all this stuff. It was there, but we never had to use it. We could still get together as a group and all this sort of thing. And why mess with those WebEx conferences and everything else? We don't need that. Well, there's a whole bunch of people in our society. I got a son who works for Google, and that's how he lives. His whole life is lived on video conferences and stuff. There's a whole segment in the society, though, like myself, who could have used them, but we never had to use them. And suddenly we are enabled to use these things, and they're really kind of nice. And so now we've got this new thing, and now you can have a speaker from Africa come talk to your club, and you can have a group of people in a club meeting, and it's just a different vibe. I've done enough of these Zoom meetings. I've done all Zooms now, and I've done this Zoom hybrid thing. And I still prefer to go to my own club's meeting and be in the room, when I get a chance. But it's amazing how things are going. Year to date, we started out the year in February, and it looked like we were really going to have a rough time collecting enough money in this year's annual fund. I wanted to remind you what the annual fund does. I see somebody I don't know how am I doing on time? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Okay,
Go and try to screen share, Brian.
I just saw you on the speaker platform. That usually means it's time to give him the hook. So that's what I
Nope,
want.
not yet.
Okay. All right, good. Well,
You
I'm
can
going
go
to share.
screen
I'm
share
going to
though.
try to share my little PowerPoint here. I'm actually going to do something different. I prefer this to be a conversation, but it's kind of hard to do that when I'm sitting at my desk in Springfield. Okay. Well, we got to. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on teaching you what the foundation does, but I'll do a little bit of that today. But where we ended up looking at in February, where it looked like we were at about say around 70% or so of where we were at the same time in the previous year. And last year was going into the COVID thing. It was down last year too. And so when I started looking at the projections, I was getting kind of concerned, because the thing that everybody needs to understand about what Rotary is, and I'm just putting up, this is Rotary's vision. Together we see a world where people unite to take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. I would recommend that every Rotarian memorize this, so that when somebody comes up to you and sees your Rotary pin and says, "What's Rotary?" you say, "Well, together we see a world where people unite to take action, create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves." That's what we are. And that's kind of neat. And that was crafted the year I was governor. That was kind of a fun thing. Your Rotary Foundation is basically the wallet for what Rotary does. And if you had to understand what the Rotary Foundation's all about, really, it's about two words. It's a grants model. That's it. That's all you got to know. Because everything that Rotary does with this money is based on grants that they give through clubs or through districts. So the money's raised by the Rotarians and the clubs and the districts and all of these places around the world that give this organization money. And this money is really well spent and well used. We're a Charity Navigator 4-star organization. I think the last time I checked, it was like 18 out of the last 19 years. And several years ago, I guess they had a 3-star year, which is still pretty darn good if you're a charity. But we've done this year after year after year. CNBC says that we're one of the top 3 most effective large charities that make a difference in the world. You really can't feel ever that you're going to I've read stories about how charities take your money, and then sometimes you find out that the executive officer of the charity has gone off and done something really crazy with the money, and people are upset about it. That's not going to happen in Rotary. But one of the nice things about Rotary that I find beautiful about it is because I love Rotary and I love what Rotary clubs are. And after you've been a governor, you can't not love Rotary, because you get into the situation where you visit all these Rotary clubs, um, so quickly in such a short period of time that you really, I mean, I showed up. I had never been to your criterium, and I came early and I watched how you guys were getting ready for all those bicycle racers. I got to help honor Jack Butler, who honored me more than I could honor him. And so I'm a changed person because of Rotary. So I love what Rotary clubs do. And when I give money out of my own pocket to the Rotary Foundation, I feel like my money is part of all this thing. It makes me just as much a part of what's going on in Asia with Rotary as what's going on here in Sangamon County with Rotary. And it's really the only way that a person can be a member of every Rotary club everywhere. Nobody can do that physically. Last year, nobody could do that. It was no way because you couldn't travel. I feel bad for our last two international presidents. They had to stay home and do this whole thing on Zoom. It's been, we just had our international conference. It was all virtual. Next year in Houston is our next international conference. I expect everybody from this area code or this zip code or this part of the country to get down to Houston. You won't even have to have jet lag because it's Central Daylight Time. We need to have a good time in Houston because next year will be the first one back. And if you haven't been to an international convention in Rotary, you really haven't had a great experience in Rotary. That will nail it for you. But anyway, back in February, it looked like we were kind of running on fumes as it related to the annual fund. So what I did is I went around and I asked some of the folks in our district that had been good donors. I asked them if they would mind sharing some of their Paul Harris points, and we actually had about 15 people say, sure, have as many points as you want. So I had about 51,000 points to play with. And so we put together this promotion in February, and I called it March Matchness because we were getting into the college playoffs at the time. And I thought it would be fun to call it that. And between the end of March or end of February and the end of our Rotary year, which is coming up in just about 18 days, if you made a contribution between at least $250 up to $1,000, we'd match those points and bring you up to the next Paul Harris level that you want. And some people have used the points to bring other people to Paul Harris. Well, I'm very, very flexible with that. And so far, we've had a lot of people take advantage of that. So I can tell you that we were on pace at the end of February to have the lowest annual fund contribution out of the last 5 years. As of today, as of this morning, when I checked the ticker, we were already securely in fourth place out of the last 5 years, and we tend to raise a lot of money in the end of June. We could possibly end up in second or first place by the end of this year. And last year ended up being the best year we ever had for collections of annual fund contributions. So why is the annual fund important? Well, really, if you like to do the global grants and you want district help in managing those global grants, and if you want World Fund contributions for the global grants, all of that money comes from the annual fund. Money from Rotarians and anybody who makes a donation to the annual fund goes to the Rotary Foundation, sits there for 3 years, guess it earns a little interest to help keep the lights on up there. And then at the end of the 3 years, it gets sent back. Now, some of that money goes back right to the district, and we have a special checking account for it. That's the money that we use for the district grants. So right now, if you're planning to, the district grants are typically little grants. This year they're going to be a little bit bigger because the governor, in my year of being a governor, did a really good job of promoting foundation giving, and we have more money this year than we had last year. So we're going to be able to do $3,000 grants for the clubs this year. So any club could apply for a club grant. We go through that club grant training each year, and now's the time if you want to apply for a $3,000 grant to be thinking about how you're going to do that, because we'll start accepting those applications between now and August 15th. And all that stuff is on the district website as far as the paperwork and everything else that you do. So that's one aspect of how we spend money with the money we get directly. We also have in our district, we have a district foundation scholarship program. Typically every year we give $3,000 scholarships to college sophomores who apply for these, and they're above average kids with above average ambitions in life. And we take that money and we have kids interview, and we generally award 4 or 5 scholarships depending on the amount of money available. This year we'll definitely have $15,000 for the scholarship program, and those scholarships go to some really worthy kids. The other stuff so that pretty much uses up the district grant portion of what we have available. I guess what frustrates me, and I hope you don't care if I'm speaking to the choir here, but what frustrates me most about this foundation is, if you love Rotary, why not give a little money? And the cool thing about this foundation is they recognize people for giving $100 a year, which is 27 cents a day, not a whole lot. And they really put you on a pedestal even at that level. And the Paul Harris Fellow Program started in 1957, recognizing people that gave $1,000. Now, 1957, $1,000 was a lot of money. I imagine Jack Butler could sell a Chevy and get one off the lot for close to $1,000 back in 1957. I wasn't born yet, so I can't say that, but you get it. I mean, that's a lot of money. Well, it's still $1,000 to be a Paul Harris Fellow. That's pretty nice that they haven't made that 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever. So the organization appreciates any donation at any level. My personal motivation is I would love to see the majority or all. I don't think we'll ever get to all, but we got about 2,000 Rotarians in our district. I would like to see the majority of those people at least giving at least $25 to the foundation. And unfortunately, you know what we actually have? We have about 1/3 of the Rotarians who give any money at all to the foundation, or at least recorded it doing that. And I know these folks are good people who do good things in their community, or they wouldn't be Rotarians. I don't know if they're just people that don't give money to charities, because I've never asked them, but I suspect that they give money to their church and local charities and stuff. So I guess my ask of everybody is, if you're going to give any money to a charity of any kind at all, would you please give a little bit to your own organization's foundation, because it's really worth it. The foundation money does so much good in the world. We have the different funds. We have the Polio Plus fund, which is going to be very celebratory soon, folks. Year to date, worldwide, WPA1, which is the good old, or the bad old polio we always feared, 2 cases year to date. I think you can applaud that. And that Polio Plus program, really, if you go back in Rotary's history, we've been at this polio thing for a really long time. And when everybody else thought it was eradicated, we realized it hadn't been. There were still 40 plus countries dealing with polio back in the 1980s. So the first project was a global grant initiative in Philippines to get the kids in the Philippines fully inoculated. And then they started making polio go away in other places. So we're really at a point now where just a couple places in a very small area that shares a common border in Afghanistan and Pakistan are where the remaining cases are. So you could say, well, we're done. Let's quit raising money. Well, we've got partnered with the Gates Foundation, so that's a good deal. We raise some money for the foundation. They get a 2-for-1 match from the Gates Foundation. It's going to still take probably another 2 or 3 more years of serious fundraising and serious inoculations to get polio to go away entirely. Africa is polio free. That was announced last year. Asia is that close. I mean, I don't think it's even that close. I think it's like that close. 2 people out of 8 billion. That's not too bad. Rotary did that, folks. You did that. That's fun. It's something you can think about it when you're looking up at the ceiling when you're in the ICU someday. You say, hey, I made something happen. The annual fund is for support for today. And then I know your club has had several people who were generous with their estate plans and their legacies, where they've set aside money through planned gifts and planned giving to support our organization in the future. One of the good math tricks that I saw somebody do one time is they said, if you give $25,000 at your death or while you're living to the endowment fund, none of that principal of that money ever gets spent. The only thing that happens is the earnings come back each year. Over the course of time, our district has raised about $2 million into the endowment. So we get a serious amount of money each year off the interest. So about $14,000 of our annual district grant money is coming from the interest of people who were generous to us forever. And one of the tricks, the math trick was, if you give $25,000 to the endowment, it's like being a Paul Harris Society member forever. Each year, $1,000 from that will come back to continue to help the cause, even if you're no longer here. So those are the main ways we support the foundation. Polio is a bargain because of the 2-for-1 match. The annual fund is, well, I've explained that, explained the endowment a little bit. Just a reminder of what the areas of focus are. What is Rotary trying to achieve? Well, the number one thing we're trying to achieve is peace in the world. And we know that if you just pray for peace and hope it comes, we've been doing that now for lots and lots of millenniums. We still have conflict, we still have peace, we still have wars. And we have to go back and figure out what the root causes of some of these conflicts really are to keep people from causing that form of violence and disruption. So I've identified with the other areas of focus. I think all of those ultimately support peace, but it's prevention of disease and health treatment, making sure people have access to health care, providing access to clean water and sanitation. I know your club and other clubs in our district have done water projects worldwide, helping moms and kids with their health, providing basic education and literacy, and also basic economic and community development. And there's one more area of focus that's been added since this slide was crafted. Last year, they added supporting the environment and preserving the environment as an area of focus for our organization. So, if I give 27 cents a day to do all of these things, to me, it's kind of like having an app on my phone that does all this stuff. And I spend money on games and all kinds of dumb stuff for my phone. I think it's worth it to have an app that only costs me 27 cents a day if it can do all this wonderful stuff. So, you're doing great work in your communities. You're doing great work in the world. Your club is a wonderful club, over 100 years, over $1 million towards the foundation. on behalf of the organization, on behalf of the Rotary Foundation, on behalf of your district, and on behalf of everybody, I just wanted to say thank you and remind you we got 14 days. If you got a little extra change in your pocket or underneath your cushions of your couch and you want to help the cause, you can go to rotary.org/give, or you can go to My Rotary, log in, and make sure that those contributions are credited to you and your club. And I can't wait to come down there and give you a banner or something. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, and good luck with your weekend. And are we doing the criterium this year or not? I haven't heard.
Yes, we are.
Well, I may have to come down. I got down there too early the last time, and I didn't see any bicycles. All I saw was people working, and I didn't want to do that. So I want to go down there and drink beer and watch people ride bicycles. So I'll have to come down this year. So anybody, do we have time for questions, or are we good?
Any questions? Nope, I think you've done a great job presenting the foundation to everybody. And Brian, we want to thank you for taking time to present to us as well. And we look forward to the next time we see you. And the criterium's right around the corner too. So hopefully that'll be soon.
Well, thanks for letting me be here. I appreciate it. Take care.